Thank you very much. You may kindly take your seats. Thank you very much. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, those of us who are coming over to introduce, the chairman of the organizing committee of this great event, who is Professor, oh, you're welcome, sir, apologies. Put hands together for Professor M. Brahma, who will come over for the organizing speech.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. By the Secretary to the Gombe State Government, Professor Abubakar Ibrahim Jodi, members of the State Executive Council, the chairman of this great event and occasion, Professor Umaru A. Pate, and Vice-chancellor Federal University, Kashere, the acting Vice-chancellor Gombe State University, member and principal officers of the university, the guest speaker, Professor Toyin Falola, special guests, members of the late Professor Abdullah Mahadi family, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to, as they say, stand on the existing protocol. Good morning, and on behalf of the organizing committee and on behalf of the Vice-chancellor of Gombe State University, I would like to warmly welcome everyone as part of the annual memorial lectures in honor of the first Vice-chancellor of this university, Professor Abdullah Mahadi. May his soul rest in peace. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Abdullah Mahadi was many things to many people. From his family, he was a husband, he was a father, he was a mentor. In the university community here, he was a teacher. He was a mentor as well. He was a scholar. He was a historian. He was a university administrator. He was an environmentalist. He was a philanthropist as well. Actually, he was many, many things to many people. And so he was, in short, important to honor this giant of a man who has served this institution, who has served Nigeria, and who has served humanity. And so it is in this that today we are gathered here this morning to commemorate Professor Abdullah Mahadi, and this is the second in the series. And last year, you may recall that we had a distinguished scholar and professor and a friend to the late Professor Mahadi, that was Professor Monde Mangwat, a retired historian and professor of history from the University of Jos. This year, we are also blessed with yet another very distinguished international scholar, a historian also, and also a friend to the late Professor Abdullah Mahadi. I'm talking about our special or our guest speaker this morning, Professor Toyin Falola. Professor Falola has graciously accepted to prepare and come all the way from the United States of America to deliver this lecture, a lecture titled Leadership Values for the Time. The university orator of Professor Falola, you will see what I am talking about. So we would like to, on behalf of the Vice-Chancellor, welcome Professor Toyin more and more that in terms of the relationship between the university.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much once more. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to recognize the presence of these following people in our midst. Honorable Commissioner for Justice, Attorney General, also have the Honorable Commissioner of Water Resources, Alhaji Muhammad Saeed Al-Faru. We have the Honorable Commissioner of Special Duties, Alhaji Yerima Abdullahi. We have the Special Advisor Development Partner and Donor Agencies, Dr. Ishaq Babeo. We have the Permanent Secretary, EPS, Professor Vice-chancellor Gombe. We also have Honorable Kadi Muhammad Gombe, representing the Grand Kadi of the States. You're welcome to this wonderful event. And once more, you're welcome to this memorial lecture. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me at this moment to invite for his opening remark the acting Vice-Chancellor of the State University, Professor Sani Ahmed Yauta. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
The special guest of honor, His Excellency, the Governor of Gombe State, Alhaji Muhammadu Inuwa Yahya, the Majan Gombe, ably represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar Jodi, members of the State Executive Council here present, the chairman of the occasion, Professor Umar Alhaji Pate, the Vice-Chancellor of Federal University of Kashure, the guest lecturer, or guest speaker rather, Professor Toyin Falola. Mr. Chairman, permit me to stand on the existing protocols. And you are all welcome to Gombe State University. It is our profound honor and privilege to wear ideals of academia, service, and leadership. We all witnessed this when he was the Vice-Chancellor of our great university, Gombe State University. It's not merely an event, but a commitment, and a commitment to celebrate excellence, inspire new ideas for the new generation that are coming up, and ignite conversations that can transform our society. When we are confronted with the complex challenges of governance, challenges of development, and challenges of social cohesion, this topic and our collective destiny as human beings living within the society. Literature and culture. His insight and perspective have illuminated countless issues, ensuring that our graduates emerge not just as skilled professionals, but as ethical and visionary leaders. This lecture aligns seamlessly with our vision of creating a university that is not only a heap of knowledge, but also a cradle of transformation and leadership. I would like to take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to thank the organizing committee for this tireless effort. I also extend my gratitude to our distinguished. Finally, let us honor the memory of Professor Abdullah Mahadi by embracing the ideals he stood for and by committing ourselves to the pursuit of excellence, innovation, and ethical leadership. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to the second Professor Abdullah Mahadi Memorial Lecture.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause once more for the acting Vice-chancellor. The President of we recognize all of you gentlemen. At this moment, I will invite the chairman of the occasion, the Adamawa, the Vice-chancellor of the University Kashari, Professor Zolu Party, for his remarks. You're welcome.
The Secretary to the State Government, representing the Governor, final external examiner must ask me to go and meet Professor Mahadi, who Falola is a distinguished Africanist, a scholar whose contribution to historiography, we are talking of the ability to galvanize and provide the required intellectual as leadership is at all levels, particularly from the political elites that is supposed to organize and coordinate the activities of the other elite groups, military elites, bureaucratic elites, intellectual elites, business elites. They are all important in leadership. But the political elite takes the lead, organizes, coordinates, and provides the vision that is required for the other elite groups to key into for society to transform. And transformation is like innovation. If
the moment is here before us, and at this moment, I want to respectfully invite
our dear students, both undergraduate and postgraduate. I have the singular honor and privilege, with the authorization of the visitor, to render the citation of one of the most distinguished professors of history in the world. Professor Toyin Falola, PhD, is the Jacob and Francis Sanga Mosika Chair in the Humanities, a professor of history and university distinguished teaching professor at the University of Texas at Austin, United States of America. He has served as the club chair of the countries and culture of the South, the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. He is a celebrated author, editor, writer, poet, academic leader, organizer, teacher, Pan-Africanist, and a visionary of extraordinary grace, talent, and accomplishment. An author of over 100 books on Africa and the African diaspora. He has been invited to speak on all continents in the world and in over 66 countries. He is today widely proclaimed as Africa's preeminent historian and one of the continent's most decorated scholars. He manages several distinguished scholarly monograph series and serves on the board of many journals. a global icon in African studies, Toyin Falola has received over 20 honorary doctorates. Most recently from the University of Pretoria. And again, I have to place it on record that one of the most recent doctorates was from the Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. I think it's important we come back home too. So, he is a fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Letters and a fellow of the Historical Society of Nigeria. He received the Distinguished Africanist Award from the African Studies Association, USA, and the Lifetime Career Award from the Canadian African Studies Association. Professor Falola has received various awards and honors in various parts of the world. As the University of Texas at Austin, he received the Jean Holloway Award for Teaching Excellence, the Texas Excess Teaching Award, the Chancellor's Council Outstanding Teaching Award, the Outstanding Graduate Teaching Award, and the Career Research Excellence Award.
I think it is enough.
Thank you, sir.
My introduction will become the main lecture. Please, I would like the children of my friend to stand up for recognition. Thank you. Please, can you look back? Can you all look back? Not only do we have a hall, we have people who are standing. What other testimony do you want to have greater than this? We cannot thank your father enough. Please sit down. Students, you are the most important people here. My friends on the high table, they won't be here. There will be no vice-chancellor if there are no students. There will be no pro-chancellor if there are no students. There will be no registrar. There will be no bursar. So the first people we should thank are the students. Please join me in thanking them. And when we teach you students, if any professor predicts your future, please tell the professor, you are here to teach me chemistry, not to predict my future. Only Allah knows the future of all of us. You are all going to succeed. You'll be greater than Mahadi that we're celebrating today. And you honor the name of your university. You are not saying me. When they pray for you, you better answer because you do not know when the angels are around. We appointed the Thank you. Nice working. I should do use this? Oh, okay. I want to thank the organizers, the university, and the contact made by Usman, I should. I didn't touch anything. Don't worry. Mahadi never wants this event to last a whole day. So the contact person, Usman, we've been on it. When the idea was conceived, he contacted me and he said, Falola, we have this idea, you have to have assistance to raise money and things like that. And I said, okay, before you embark on this project, make sure it's going to be sustainable. Because we have a tradition of starting something and it's not going to be sustainable. And I'm glad that the university has adopted this and it's going to be sustainable. And I'm glad the children of my friend are here and we are going to hold a meeting with them regarding sustainability. And I've also suggested to them that we should put all these writings together. We publish all these writings in a book so that on occasions like this, we have something to give. I thank the chair of this ceremony, the Vice-chancellor. He summarized my lecture, so I should go and sit down because he did a good summary. And I bring greetings. I bring greetings from various universities. When I told the Olubadan of Ibadan, His Royal Majesty, that I'm coming, the King sends his greetings. The new president of Ghana sends his greetings. The university should note that. He's a good friend of mine, and his stepmother, the new president of Ghana, was raised out of by his stepmother. He speaks Yoruba very fluently. If he didn't go back to Ghana when he left Offa in Kwara State, he would not be the president today. And so also, UNESCO sends his greetings. And I have Professor Nahala, former Vice-chancellor of Ahmadu Bello, sends his greetings. Nuru Yakub, former Vice-chancellor of the University of Abuja and Sokoto State, sends his greetings. Professor Loba Femi, Pro-Chancellor of the university, sends his greetings. And I have to deliver these greetings because I'm running an errand. I will be giving another lecture this evening because students of the university hijacked me and they said I should give another lecture. I don't know the venue. For those of you who are interested in lecture, the topic is what is wrong with Africa. This is my second time here. The first time I came to give a lecture, Mahadi was my host. I call him Dongoyaro because he's tall. And I was wearing a shirt that day and they called me Pakistani man. Are you from Pakistan? So, and my first lecture then was on social movements. And I chose the topic because of him. And today the topic I chose is also because of him. So twice in Gombe, 2 lectures all derived from him. I think in this, other than his children, in this room, I may be the longest person who know him the most, who are young, and we met in the 80s. In the 1980s, Mahadi and I, we didn't edit, we wrote 3 books together. History of West Africa. And we'll meet in Lagos. Himself, myself, and Imobigbi, and we'll talk while young. We'll talk about our ambitions, various ambitions. When he was at ABU, it was a vibrant moment in left politics. He was also a boss. He was head of department following Inikori. And I was external examiner for Ahmadu Bello from BA to PhD level, which is unusual. So they had to send the papers to Ife, have to vet all the questions they are giving the students, and the relationship strengthened considerably. Then nobody knew who emerged as the Vice-chancellor of Ahmadu Bello. He was not even thinking about it, to tell you the truth. What? Can you hear me at the back? People at the back, can you hear me? You can hear me. I had no, I had yes. But you can hear me. Very good. If you cannot hear me, please move forward. So, I don't think he ever thought he would become the Vice-chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University. I don't think so. Because he did not look like a personality who was aggressive enough to be looking for that kind of position. I think it is his talent and humility, and when they saw in him, that made that possible. I don't think it ever occurred to him. I don't think it occurred to him. Because he will have manifested it, because I knew when he became head of department and how it was also some kind of talking to him before he accepted that position. In Lagos, on one occasion, we were sitting together, and one of us said he wants to go into foreign service. He later became Nigerian's ambassador to Germany and other places. And I said, well, I don't think I want to do administration. I don't want to do administration. And for the young students who are here, let me make this point very clearly. Let me make it very clearly. At your young age, you can actually say, this is what you want to become. Do you want to be like the general? You want to seek honor through the military? Do you want to become Dangote and seek wealth? Are you looking for glory by becoming a statesman, winning wars? Or are you seeking faith to become a notable imam, One of the mistakes we now do in Nigeria is that one person wants to become everything. Glory and honor and fame and wealth. You go into politics. Why do you want to become like Dangote? You didn't create the money, you didn't generate the wealth, but you can't steal wealth and say you're a rich person. That doesn't make sense. In trying to roll everything together, we create fundamental errors, leaving individuals permanently in search of something, even when Allah has blessed them. And last Saturday, when I gave the convocation lecture at Benue State University, and they gave me an honorary doctorate last Saturday, I said, we tend to confuse power with politics and policies in Nigeria. They are not the same thing. You can have power. It doesn't mean you understand politics. It doesn't mean so. And this has happened so many, many times. You can understand politics, but it doesn't mean you have the skills to have power. It doesn't mean that. But you can have power, understand politics. It does not mean you understand policies. You can be head of state. It doesn't mean you understand policies. That's why you get advisors for yourself. You can be the president of a country and be an economic illiterate. You may not know monetary policies. And that's why you have to get somebody to do them for you. The attempt to say in one person, the person will know power, will know politics, will know policies, is also a fundamental error. And you see how other countries have organized their spaces. They make this separation very clearly. When you create civil service, the bureaucrats, they understand policies. They understand policies so well, and they can stabilize the policies for you. One set of politicians come, another they go, but the civil service is stable, pushing those policies forward, because that is their skill. I write long books, but you are not going to give the president of a country my book, I just released a book on Nigeria. You're not going to say, Tinubu, go and read Falola's book, 700 pages. He doesn't have the time. Where is he going to get the time? But somebody interested in policies can reduce that 700 pages to 1 page for him. And these skill sets, we have to know they are not the same. They're not the same. And I recommended to Benue State that they should begin a degree in what I call power politics and policies. Should begin to teach young men and women the intricacies of them and the differences in them. And we have Mahadi, the general who is here, that he can fight a war does not mean he knows the policies of marketing the food that will get to the front line. It doesn't mean that. It's another skill set that belong to another person. You can't say, I'm a rich man, I want to build a hotel. You can build it, but can you cook food? Are you a chef? Are you a hotel manager? Are you a receptionist officer? You cannot do any of those things that can make the hotel very successful. When I came here for the first time and I chose social movements, is to connect with what our generation was talking about. How are we going to change the country? I do not know what the current generation of students are talking about. I met with two or three of the students activists yesterday, but I didn't tell them what the concern of the generation was. In the 1980s, If you are at Ife Ahmadu Bello University, we are talking about how to remove the military from power. That's what we are talking about. Talking about federalism. You are talking about how to change the dynamics of power. Abdullah Mahadi was part of all these conversations. It was a very vibrant conversation. And we're all connected in different universities. So I can say, I want to talk about Mahdi and history, but you will fall asleep and review his contributions to Nigerian history. You are going to fall asleep. But I say, okay, let me talk to what we connect to you, which is his leadership qualities. You managed 3 universities, remember. Managed Arewa House. Traveled all over the country. One time he was invited by Alagua, his children may not know this, to come to the Niger Delta. Travel on canoes, very risky. And he developed friendship across the length and breadth of this country. How does leadership affect people? He knew about that. Groups and institutions. And how do societies succeed and progress? He knew about that. So he knew about the expansion of opportunities. And in the 80s, he was part of Solidarity movement. He was able to translate thoughts into action, problems into opportunities, and people into teams. Yesterday, I had dinner with one of the lecturers here who was coming to Texas, and he sent a note. Please make sure that they are well taken care of. They will write you short notes like that, like a testimony that you have to act upon. Without leadership, organizations and societies will not scale up or be successful over time. As someone who worked with him for decades, let me highlight his characteristics. And in highlighting them, a few people in this room who work with him will identify with what I'm saying, and those who did not know him will appreciate his legacies. First, a strategic articulation of vision. It's not from Gombe State. It's from Borno State. And you must always remember that. In his wisdom, the managers of Gombe State said they are looking for the best vice-chancellor, the pioneer vice-chancellor, to give them a first-class university. He delivered. Did he not deliver? But that delivery is based on vision. You have to have a vision, either in your head, before you can translate it into a mission, or you write it down. And you have to understand human capital around interest so that everyone will know the purpose. In Nigeria, we do not have institutional memory. In 20 years' time, if you are looking for the documents of what the pioneer vice-chancellor did, you won't find them because we don't keep records. In developing that vision, Many of you may not be aware that he was sharing many documents with people like me. Not just me, because he was sharing them with others. What should we teach? What should be the focus of this university? He was sharing the vision. And I remember one time, I told him, please, don't have all the time the idea of the Western University in your mind. Because we make too many mistakes in running our universities. We do comparisons that we should not be making. We should not be doing that. First of all, instead of talking about contributions to our locations, contributions to our places, we bother ourselves with ranking. Ranking, we can never win. It's a waste of time. My university is richer than many African countries. 50 American universities are richer than African countries. My university has oil, just like Nigeria has oil. It's the second richest university in the world. Why will I be managing Gombe State and be comparing Gombe State University with that kind of university? My university is richer than the entire Gombe State. So we just make all this false comparison. And I've been saying, please, 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 don't do that. And the same thing is comparing Nigeria with America. Musk has more money than Nigeria, one person. You don't know that? Elon Musk is richer than Nigeria. IBM is richer than Nigeria. Walmart is richer than Nigeria. And they don't have, does Elon Musk have 200 million people to manage? Or does he have 200 million people to manage? So sometimes we do comparisons that we should not be doing. And one of the reasons why China is very successful is that it doesn't do all this useless comparison. Face your own people. Gombe State University, face Gombe citizens. What are the needs? What are the necessities? What are our crucial requirements? And that is what we face. And that is a vision issue that he understood in many of our conversations. Second, you cannot have results unless you create goals. You have to create goals, which he did. And you cannot say you are not going to have obstacles. We have vice-chancellors here, secretary to the government. If you wake up in a position of leadership and say you have obstacles, what are you talking about? You are supposed to have obstacles. When Jesus Christ started his mission of creating Christianity, he was crucified, he was killed. All his entire 12 disciples, many were murdered. They all ended very badly. The Prophet Muhammad, may the peace of Allah be upon him, traveling between Medina and Saudi Arabia, he had obstacles. The first 4 caliphs that followed him, only one survived. By the time you get to Caliph Ali, he was brutally murdered, decapitated. His arm was used to be banging his head together. Leadership is about obstacles. It has no other name. You are going to have obstacles. The money is not going to be enough. If there is enough money, why do you want to be a governor? You can stay in your house. The very fact that you have ideas does not mean people will accept the ideas. A governor of a state once said, I should come and give him an idea. He paid for me to come. I went. He said he wanted to create a university. And I said, Your Excellency, given the document you've presented before me, and you have not filled your quota in this university, why don't you do scholarship instead? He said, if he did scholarship, people will say they won't clap for him. They will say he's telling a lie. That if he says he gives scholarship to 2,000, they will say it's a lie. But if they see the university, they will clap for him and say, okay, I understand. Ideas are always like that. Ideas are good in your head. But when you present it to other people, the secretary to the government will tell you, they will say no. And ideas have to compete. Some of your citizens want to go to Hajj. If you don't help them, you're in trouble. Some of them want borehole. If you don't help them, you're in trouble. And as you compete for all these demands, it's so heavy on you with headache, managing scarce resources and ambitions of people. The bigger your head, the bigger the headache. So when you envy the state secretary to the government, riding his jeep, okay, take his jeep, but remember to take his problems with you as well. Because you can't take the jeep and ask him to go and take the problems. You have to take both. And that is how leadership are. And you are going to have sabotage. You cannot be a leader. Somebody will sabotage you. Your messenger, somebody who works in your office, somebody is going to sabotage you. It's not going to be free. And the ability to understand all this and to overcome them mean that you must be very, very gifted and talented and astute. Take a university, for instance. Don't envy a vice-chancellor. You know how many unions he has to deal with? 6 unions. On Monday, ASU will give him problem. Tuesday, NASU will give him problem. Union workers will give him problem. Drivers Association will give him problem. I am not making it up. I have friends who are vice-chancellor, and they will come and they will be crying. You think he's enjoying his office, he's crying. Sometimes they don't know where to pay salary. If you don't pay salary, will they let you enter the gate of the campus? They won't let you enter. And there are 21 other units on any campus that you have to deal with. If you ignore the students, they will give you a problem. If you ignore the teachers, they will give you a problem. If you ignore the junior workers, it will give you a problem. And one person carries all these problems on their head. Third quality of our friend, he has the capacity to make people feel good. And that is in the way he used language, that walking around him, encouraging you and rewarding success, is the ability to promote morale and interest and performance. Number 4, he was an enabler of change. Creating an environment of change, able to cope with transitions and setbacks, stimulating innovations. And in stimulating those innovations, bear in mind, he chose the theme of environment. Next to your university gate, the landscape on this campus are part of his contributions. If you go to the University of Abuja, many of the plants you see there, he sent them over 1,000 seeds. I know this for a fact. And he's able, point number 5, to build trust and credibility. You would think trust and integrity are very easy. They are not, even at the domestic level. They are very, very difficult. They are very difficult. If you are a man and your wife does not know the amount of money in your bank, and one day She asks you for money and you say you don't have, which is true. She will say, where are you? I know you won't give me the money because every evening you go out, you have given the money to your girlfriend. And that is how trust and credibility work. It's very, very difficult. If you run a country and people don't know the amount of money, how do you maintain a culture? Mahadi was able to create organizational culture, certain values and norms and expectations. How do you make decisions and how do you solve problems? When you see the end products of decision making, you see a building like this, it's a decision. It has to be located, it has to be planned. We are enjoying the end product, but we then struggle with the decision-making process. When I came to this campus, his office that I went to is no longer there because I think the structure, they want to replace it with a four-story structure, so I had. But it's a decision to pull down that building and put another there. It's a decision. And once that building is completed, those who are enjoying it do not know the history. They don't know the pain of getting the money. They don't know the pain of talking to the architect and things like that. And in the long run, we have to thank him for his principles of accountability. And we are here today because of his legacy. Through his work with people who are here, institution building, and through his ability to network with political leadership. And please join me in thanking him for his contributions to this university. And he gave me this topic, how do you understand leadership? It can be fragmented into various components of institutions and organizations. And what the paper did is to focus on the national context. That you can look at it from the point of view of outcome. And you can look at it from the point of view of the followership. Followership is very contentious. You call them citizens. Citizens are as complicated as their leaders. In Nigeria, we follow a one-man theory. In a one-man theory, every Nigerian knows everything. Nobody is a specialist. A Nigerian who is not a mechanic will fight with the mechanic. He will fight with the mechanic because he thinks he's a mechanic who knows about car. I don't think you are going to put many Nigerians together who will not tell you they can be in Aso Rock. They already know what to do. You don't know what to do. You just think you know what to do. It's very complex. But if you approach professors, that's how we do research. You have to be very eccentric. If you want to steal money, how much do you want to steal? I began to tabulate it using an example from 3 UK cities. And as we tabled the data, many people said they will steal, the amount they gave is the amount they are owing. That's the amount they said they will steal. Somebody said £6. Why £6? He said that is the amount of debt he has. So, students, listen to me. Then we came to Nigeria. If you want to steal money, how much will you steal? Hey! My brothers and sisters, it's the entire central bank. How can people steal money for his grandchildren? What is your business with that? And you see how there's also a followership issue here. And it's important to understand that you cannot talk about leadership without talking about those who follow them. It's very complicated. Go and read your Quran very well, and you will see how in the first Jumu'ah, these were challenges. As you are asking the Prophet so many questions. Too many challenges. And if you read the Bible, too many challenges. A rich man went to Jesus. How can I enter the kingdom of heaven? Jesus himself has not gotten to heaven. And he was asking him, how can I get to heaven? And Jesus said, go and sell everything you have. And the man said, I should go and sell everything I have. He looked confused. And Jesus said, okay, you know it's easier for the camel to enter the eye of the needle than for a rich man to see the kingdom of God. That's what he told him. And you have passages like that in the Quran in which they're asking the prophet serious questions. So you find 4 qualities. You have to be supportive as a leader. If you are not, they will fight you. You have to have a focus. If you don't have a focus, they will divert you. They will create diversions. I have been privileged to be advisors to heads of state. And there is no head of state who is not going to meet the challenge of diversion. It is not possible. Something will divert you. Insurgency will divert you. Insecurity will divert you. As you are dealing with one focus, another diversion will come. And you have to manage it. And you have to manage different perspectives. Perspectives are so many. You have 30-something states. Each of them has their own needs and requirements. I've had the opportunity to attend meetings with some heads of states. And even balancing the perspectives they tell you are very complicated. Nigeria is a plural society. 250 groups, they have their perspectives. Women, men, children, they have their perspectives. And it's your business as a leader to accumulate and aggregate these perspectives. And you are not going to satisfy everyone. It's not possible. On Monday, you satisfy a group. Tuesday, there will be resistance. On Wednesday, you do a balance. Thursday, another people will fight you. It's permanent. It's a permanent thing. And you have to be able to solve problems. But problems are easy to solve on paper. Whether it's of electricity, of infrastructure, you are not going to build a good road in 2 months. It's not possible. It's not. And you're going to face all those challenges. And in facing all challenges, you need confidence, innovations, perseverance, enthusiasm, collaboration, extended communication. Transformative leadership, which the chairman of this occasion, the distinguished Vice-chancellor, spoke about, is what we are all seeking, because it's the key. Is it doable? Yes. Are there countries that have done it? Yes. The Bolshevik Revolution, creating the Soviet Union, Japan, the aristocrats of the 19th century created modern Japan, Israel after 1948. There are so many examples. Singapore, Malaysia. There are so many examples where you can have transformational leadership. And the importance of this transformational leadership is so important that we cannot call it into question. And the question is, how come we don't have this transformational leadership? And my answer is that we actually do. It is the level that you are looking at that may be the problem. To those of you who abuse Nigeria every day, I want you to think differently. The families are doing well. If you move from one family to another, they praise the families. A mother will tell you, I have 2 children in Gombe State University, so the families are doing well. Now maybe extremely well, but by and large, many families are doing well. But families are aggregation of a country. If many families are doing well, when you accumulate that success, the country they represent is also doing well, only that they don't see it very well. When have you seen Igbo people abusing Igbo people? Or when do you see Yoruba people abusing Yoruba people? Or when do you see Hausa people abusing Hausa people? Those ethnicities to them are doing well. And if you want to get into trouble, go and abuse them. You will get into trouble. They will not let you abuse them. You can abuse Nigeria, no problem. It has no father. And it has no mother. But will I wake up and abuse Fulani people? I will get into trouble. Or are you going to wake up and begin to abuse Igbo people? You are going to get into trouble. So if you see those ethnic components as doing well, why don't you see what they represent and the space that they occupy as doing well? So in all those spaces that are doing well, there is transformational leadership in them. If you see a family, 10 children, all of them with university degrees, the dad, the mom, are transformational leaders. They are doing well. They may not have money, but succeeded in sending their school. Look at religious organizations. Covenant is rated as one of the best universities in the country. Baoyedepo is doing well. Is doing well. So let us look at those components doing well. If you take the family, for instance, they are doing well because of values. Because the dad and the mom, they have strong values. They are doing well. And even within our space, we have something that we can borrow and use to do well. For us to do well at the national level, don't make the mistake that if you change one person, the next person, structural issues don't work like that. Structural issues don't work like that. And we have to face 2 challenges. That if you don't deal with the issue of structure, you can't be complaining every day about the individuals that manage that structure. Because structure produces those individuals. I use myself as an example. I don't know whether I'm a thief. Why? I have not seen any money. Maybe I'm a thief if I see the money. Maybe I will steal it. So, in other words, I've not been tested. But I know senators. I know some of them. Some of you as followers, you will go to a senator and say, your son is in the hospital. They say you should bring 3 million naira. It may be a lie. Your car has broken down. Suppose you wake up in the morning, every morning, and 50 people come to your house. One demand or another, one demand or another. If you send them away, you become a wicked man. If you meet their demands, where do you get the money to meet their demands? So you find all these challenges, difficult challenges that people have to meet. And in meeting those challenges, issues of honesty and integrity will come into play. And in these issues, the number one word we use is corruption. And we cannot stop talking about that. You need visionary thinking. But that visionary thinking is not easy. And even when you have formulated it, it's difficult. You also need emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is how you communicate your sympathy, your motivation, because you have to be communicated. You may love your country, and your citizens may think you don't love them. You know, you may even love your wife, and your wife may think you don't love her, because you can't communicate it. And that challenge of communication is difficult. You have to take decisions. Decisions are very difficult because you are dealing with multiple options. I don't know how many of you have occupied decision-making capacities. There is no decision you take that is not going to have its own challenges. If you give people good food, good nutrition, they are going to live longer. If they get to old age, they are not going to remember the good food and nutrition you've given them. They will say you are not taking care of them at old age. They will complain. So, you want to educate people. Very good. You created universities. After the convocation, if they don't have jobs, you are in trouble. Serious trouble. Because they will say, why did you send us to universities without creating jobs for us? If you create jobs for them, you have to pay them. If you say, this is how much I can afford, they will say, what can this buy? And if they work for a certain number of years, they have to collect pension. And every decision you take will produce its own consequences. Some consequences you push to the next generation, some others, you have to face them yourself. You have to deal with issues of justice and fairness. It looks so simple, but it's very complicated. It's very complicated. And you have to provide education. If you provide education, do they have the skills to create their own empowerment? If not, you are going to get into trouble. Because they will say, you have given us education, but you have not given us the opportunities to use it. So the challenges of leadership are many. There are many. And it's only a few people who can meet those challenges. You may not be corrupt yourself, but it does not mean that those who are working for you are not corrupt. And in managing societies, you are a leader, But you are not the one who created the framework. You are not the one who created the constitutions. You work in a federal system. For instance, I'm not happy with the number of ministers, but the Constitution says every state must have a minister. What can the president do about that? If you don't appoint ministers from a state, you will get into trouble. You have to do all this balancing. I once intervened in a small crisis. Over what? Over the constitution of Pilgrims Board. So the governor created Islamic Pilgrims Board. And this powerful politician sent his nomination, and the governor approved the members. And when the governor wanted to create the Christian board, his godfather sent to him, this is the list. And the governor asked, but you are a Muslim. What is your interest in the members of the Pilgrims Board? He said, what is not going to be my interest? People who want to become members of the Christian Pilgrims Board, Other Manalaji, they came to me begging for the position. And you think something that looks so simple becomes extremely complicated. In a plural society, you have to balance interests around religion, around ethnicities, because each of them will be pulling you in their ways. You have to create institutions, and hopefully, as the country moves ahead, part of what we are going to achieve is the ability to create institutions. The chairman of this occasion spoke to issues of leadership failures. You can have political failures. You can have economic failures. These failures are so many. You can succeed in one and fail in another. You can be an astute politician, an astute governor. Yes, but it doesn't mean you are not going to experience economic decline. You can. And all your skills may not be able to do that. Today, we are facing challenges in reduced productivity, loss of talent as our citizens are leaving the country, public image issues, low motivations among workers, and all these are challenges. But to meet and overcome all these challenges, good leadership is important. Have we had good leadership in our history? Yes. Great leadership. And we celebrate many of them, as in the case of Ahmadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa, and many others. Let me move to my conclusion, because the paper has been circulated and I've successfully skipped 50% of the paper. I have discussed the criteria for leadership, and I've also focused on issues of transformation and vision. And I've also explained the essentials. In this conclusion, let me isolate the skills and the heart of leadership. First, training and development. That we have to be very serious in training a new generation in communication, in decision making, and in empathy. Some may be good, born with it, but many have to learn the skills at various levels. We have to promote feedback circles, creating regular feedback for leaders to review and tweak performance. I think a wise leader knows how to collect feedbacks. Because if you don't collect feedbacks, those who surround you will just be telling you lies. They will just be telling you a wide range of lies. So you also need your critics. And you have to look for people who will be honest with you. Third, management. Management that will instill trust. We are not very good at succession strategies. We are not very good at managing successions at all levels. The national level is what we talk about the most. And it has the highest concentration of resources and rewards. But it's not as if we are able to manage succession strategies very well. We're looking for a new Alaafin or for you. It's not easy. When an emir passes, succession struggles. You can even have two emirs, federal emir and emir of Kano. Because succession struggles are very, very complicated. Let me speak more about these succession strategies. I don't want to embarrass the vice-chancellors here. Even in the universities, choosing a vice-chancellor is difficult because of succession strategies. It is not that the requirements are not clear, but the implementations are very difficult. Mosques, churches, choosing the next Imam of Gombe is not going to be easy. Just as choosing the next GO for a Redeemer's Church. So, if you blame the APC and PDP, that's fine. But also know at the local level, university level, even Gombe citizens in Lagos to choose their next leader is difficult. Alumni Association of Universities, where they don't pay them any salary, choosing the president is difficult. They will go to top. Your neighborhood, choosing the chairman of the Landlords Association is a problem. So, we have to think more as a nation that at various levels, succession crisis has been very, very difficult for us to handle. And we have issues of ego. Issues of ego. The last segment of my lecture, the acting vice-chancellor, this is now directed at you and your management. And I'm glad that the Mahadi kids are here, so that after this meeting, we will extract a promise from you that you are going to implement what I'm saying. We call this dictatorship. the dictatorship of the guest speaker. That I want to suggest what I call the Abdullah Mahadi principles of leadership, AMPL, which we can learn and practice. How the university will do it, you and I can discuss it. In what I'm calling AMPL, which will include traits and habits and principles that allow one to lead and motivate. I want to draw them in closing this remark, just as I opened it, from the career of Mahadi. And I want to list 10 important components of AMPL. First, vision and goal setting. Teaching the students who are here today and the new generation how to establish goals and strategies. Second, we have to teach our students the act of effective communication, how to listen, because we've lost the ability to listen, and how to make thoughts and experiences very simple and less complicated. Third, we must promote moral character, borrowing from the example of the person we are honoring, integrity and accountability. Teach critical thinking to be able to make decision making. Inspire and motivate. Build strategic thinking. Do continuous learning. And we must be able to say that when you are no longer a member of this university, when you are retired, what are they going to remember you for? We thank Allah that we remember my friend for good. We remember him for his services. Today, we've honored his character. If we had dragged his name, we will not be here today. If we had stolen the money of the university, we will not be here today. If we had committed crimes, we will not be here today. If there is only one takeaway from this lecture, it is that be a good person, live a good life, so that we can all gather together, not just when you are living, but when you are dead, to honor and celebrate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Give a round of applause once more. Ladies and gentlemen, for the last time, a round of applause for Professor Toyin Falola and a well-delivered lecture. Thank you very much once more. Thank you. While the guest speaker exchanged pleasantries with invited guests and members of the high table, I want to currently recognize the presence of these wonderful personalities here in our midst. We have welcomed him earlier on, the head of civil service, Alhaji Ahmed Yauta. You're very much welcome, sir. We recognize your presence. We have in our midst the fathers to so many of us, the pioneer registrar from the State University, Alhaji Ahmed Kamara. You're very much welcome, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have an instruction for the next item on the agenda and permit me to pass the instruction as was given to me. Goodwill necessities will be next, and I'm asked to plead with you that you have 3 minutes maximum to deliver your goodwill message. Please, we crave your indulgence. A lot will be said if we need to say a lot. first person to present a good message, the former Vice-chancellor of the State University, Professor Sani Ahmed. Immediately after he will invite our father, Al-Hajj Toyin. So put him there after he invites Professor Sani Ahmed for the good message.
Because of time, please permit me to stand on the existing protocols. May we pray that Al-Jalna Firdaus, the final resting place for Professor Abdullah Mahadi. I'm among one of the few people, the lucky ones, maybe to have worked with Professor Mahadi for a fairly long time. I worked with him for over 15 years, closely. First, when he was Vice-chancellor at Ahmadu Bello University, where I was also the director, Center for Energy Research and Training. You know, as the Vice-chancellor, he was my chairman, board of governors of the Research Institute. So I worked very closely with him. And luckily, I was his second deputy Vice-chancellor. We worked closely for another 5 years, then ended up to be the second Vice-chancellor for Gombe State University. As has been mentioned by the speaker, one thing that Professor Abdullah Mahadi did was that if he believed in something, he did it to the end. He doesn't look back, he continued. And this is the reason why we are here today in Gombe State University, as a great institution that everybody remembered, and with quality service, and the institution that looks greater than even its age. Just 20 years, but many people will not believe that the university is just 20 years old. Therefore, I'm very happy that the distinguished speaker has mentioned we have to look for a way how to sustain these lecture series, and definitely is something that some of us will continue to support and be part of. With this short remark, I will say again, may Allah reward Professor Abdullah Mahadi abundantly with Al-Jalna Firdaus. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much. The next is a little message. Abdullah Mahadi, the BTA, General Abdullah.
Thank you very much. Permit me to stay on the existing protocol because of the time. Even though I was a student in the 70s at the University of Ahmadu Bello, I didn't know Professor Mahadi because he was in the history department. I was in the business administrative department in Congo campus. However, as fate will have it, I met Professor Mahadi in Kaduna when I was the regional manager at Ashaka Cement. That time, Ashaka Cement was to present to Arewa House a donation of some trucks of cement. to enable them to expand and build the conference center at Arewa House. That was my first contact with him. And when we went there with my late MD, Grema Mustafa, he took us around the Arewa House. And Professor Toyin, for your information, we saw in Mahdi at that time his potential to be the Vice-chancellor of Ahmad Yauta University. Then, when I was the Federal Commissioner representing Gombe State at Federal Character Commission, we organized the Northeast Zone retreat in Gombe here. I craved the indulgence of my colleagues to come and visit this young university at that time. I wanted them to see the environment, to see how Gombe State is growing. We came, we met him, he took us around, he showed us all the trees he planted, and he was naming them one by one. He took us to the zoo. I'm telling you, if these trees and the animals in the zoo would be allowed to be here, they would have joined us to celebrate. Mahdi has made this university an environmentally friendly university. That was not done. I happened to be on the defunct governing council of the Federal University of the State University, Science and Technology, Kumo. That professor has penchant, has passion for development. His first initiative was to make that environment very clean, very environmental friendly, and he started planting trees. Today, if you are coming or going out of Gombe on the major 5 roads, you will see the Mahdi Foundation everywhere. So, I pray that his soul rest in Jannatul Firdaus. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, General Abdullah Mahadi, immediately after General Mahadi.
Thank you. The special guest of honor of this occasion, who is the Executive Governor of Gombe State, ably represented by the SSG. I wish to recognize every other person here. However, because of the limited time given, I want to most respectfully stand on the existing protocol which has been established. I feel highly privileged to be here this afternoon on this very important occasion to speak for the family of our late father on this second annual memorial lecture. The first being that of last year, which we're all here to honor his memory. Unfortunately, I was given 3 minutes to give our own remarks as a family, and I felt 3 minutes, to manage 3 minutes is quite difficult if we are to give genuine remarks by the family. So this time around, or rather, I centered my remarks for the family on our appreciation to the people of Gombe State and people of Gombe State University in particular for hosting our father for the period he was in Gombe State. Again, this year, I'm still giving that 3 minutes. So I will again recast my remarks to limit it to appreciating, first and foremost, the executive governor of Gombe State and the good people of Gombe State for hosting this great occasion. Secondly, I wish to most sincerely thank the management of the university and the organizers for maintaining this commitment to honor the memory of our father. Because it's not easy to start something and sustain it. Starting it, it's quite simple, but maintaining it's difficult. So for maintaining it, we are highly grateful as a family to the organizers and the university for this great honor you have given our late father. Having said this, I want to, in a special way, most sincerely thank our guest lecturer this afternoon, Professor Toyin Falola, like he was described here, is a household name in the academia. The first time I saw something concerning him was in the 80s, which was the book he co-authored with my father. Coincidentally, that was the book we used while I was in Nigerian Military School Zaria for our history to prepare us for our GCE O-level. And ever since then, I became very, very committed to anything I see concerning Professor Toyin Falola. Let me cite an instance. His views on every issue, especially that has to do with national development, has been very thought-provoking, just as the lecture he has given today. 2 weeks ago, I just came back from Brazil on an official assignment. I was representing the Chief of Defense Staff somewhere in Abuja. And I got to know of this event. When I was informed of the event, I said, okay, with the level of commitments, will I make this event, even though deep inside my heart I knew even if I'll crawl and make it. While thinking, a message just came into a WhatsApp message came into my phone at the event. So when I opened it, I saw someone sent to me an article by Professor Toyin Falola on why he has to be for this occasion in person. When I started reading that article, I just wanted to glance through it initially, since I was in an event. When I read through the first paragraph of the article, there was this feeling in me that I could not explain. Or better most, I felt the way, for those of us that have read some accounts of Nelson Mandela, he said when he was in Robben Island prisons and he read the book by Chinua Achebe, which was quoted here, I think by the guest lecturer, about when he read it about leadership, that he felt the walls of the prison in Robben Island crumbling because of the weight of what was contained in that book. So if I was to describe how I felt when I read that article by Professor, the guest lecturer, I think I felt the same way too. And it is nothing else but that conviction about leaving faraway United States for what you believe in to come and deliver a lecture about a friend, a colleague, someone you have spent 5 decades of your life, which I consider very uncommon today in our society. Rather, I believe such things are only seen within the military because we have a lot of things that have to do with brotherhood, camaraderie, esprit de corps, and what have you. We believe that true friendship should be exhibited till the point of death. And this is true because we are in a profession of life and death. The person that will save your life may not be from the same father, the same mother, the same state, the same religion, the same anything with you. So, sir, you have demonstrated that conviction, and we are grateful to you as a family. Secondly, I wish to mention 3 unique things about our late father, which so much has been said about him. The first one is his love for Nigeria as a country. Anytime I come from anywhere, whether the war front or the unit or anywhere I'm serving, if I'm privileged to see him at home, we usually sit down and discuss 1 or 2 issues. The last time I saw him in his conscious state was in 2017. I came in from Kontagora, where I was serving. And coincidentally, that weekend he came from Gombe, he was in the house. So we sat outside. So he asked me, he said that he could see that we are having a very difficult time in securing Nigeria with the security forces. Well, of course, as a strategic leader, I tried to dribble around giving 1 or 2 excuses to him. That being who he is, he told me that there's no level of excuse I will give him why we cannot secure Nigeria as a military or our security forces, we cannot secure this country. He said his only regret is that in his lifetime, such a situation, he witnessed such a situation in this country that he never prayed to witness as a country. Secondly, his love for Gombe State. Just like what Prof mentioned, while we were seated at the VC's office before we came, Prof was astonished by the level of recognition he has, especially the people that came today to honor him. He said, General, Prof is not from Gombe State, that he's honored more in Gombe State than even where he came from. So to buttress that point, one of my colleagues, sometimes back again, asked me, he said, what did your father do to Gombe people that they like him with passion? I said, that question will be best answered by him. And I can assure you when I see him next, I will ask him that question. Coincidentally again, I met him and I posed that question to him. I said, a colleague of mine wants to know what connection do you have with Gombe people that makes Gombe people like you this much? He said, is that what he asked you? I said, yes, that's what he asked me. He said, and what did you tell him? I said, no, I felt I should hear from him so that I can tell him. He said, if you didn't tell him as at that time, then it seems you have a problem. Because you know what to do better. Now, lastly, is his love for this great institution. There's no time in his lifetime that I will meet him and he will not discuss Gombe State University to me. To buttress this point further, during the period of his illness, I came on a visit. Unfortunately, he was not in his conscious state. So I went back and I kept asking my elder sister, who is also an associate professor in medicine. So I asked, she was the one with the management team. So we kept interacting. So at a point, I asked her that whenever he regains his consciousness, please tell him that I will make arrangements for an air ambulance to evacuate him on better medical treatment. So coincidentally again, she called me and said he has regained consciousness, and she posed that my request to him. So I told her, so what was his response? He said she should tell me that it's going nowhere. So I said, is that what he told you? He said, yes. I said, so what does that imply? He said, he's not leaving Gombe. I said, okay, if that's his choice, may Almighty Allah make him recover quickly. So that's that about his love for Gombe State and Gombe State University, Gombe State, and Nigeria as a country. So now, when he passed on, as a family, we had the challenge of putting together some of his legacies. And just like Prof mentioned, we felt it is important so that it will not, some of these things will not go in vain. And we were alive to such responsibilities, especially that of his foundation. So we decided to look at how best we can address that. So far, we have intervened in so many areas, but we as a family want to thank the organizers of this and assure you that we will continue to do all he has done. I know it will be difficult for us to do that, but we'll do the much we can. One area that was very, very dear to his heart was his intervention to the physically challenged. As such, we also look at this area and we felt there's no other time for us to indicate our resolve to sustain this feat other than today. So, if you permit me, I will invite Professor Musa to make just a little presentation on behalf of the physically challenged in Gombe State University. So I'll give you a baby presentation. Okay. So I don't know the active Vice-chancellor, sir. Maybe you can. Okay. So, sir, we are very grateful as a family to all that the university has done in honor of the memory of our dear father. I want to assure you that we will keep faith with some of his legacies, especially the aspects of educational development of the physically challenged among us. So, on this note, sir, I will permit me to make a presentation to you of an undisclosed amount of money for the physically challenged in Gombe State University. Please, why it is undisclosed, we are also, is one of his ideals. This is what he believed in. He does not believe in telling things about what he does for people. So please permit us and pardon us for maintaining that principle of his. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. On this note, I again want to most sincerely thank the Executive Governor of Gombe State, ably represented by the SSG. Please, sir, extend our profound greetings to him. The last time I was here in Gombe, I recall, was at the gravesite, which we met with you, because I had to charter a plane from Lagos because of the nature of that period, traveling within that period. And coincidentally, I just met you at the gravesite. So please, thank you, sir. Please extend our appreciation to the Executive Governor of Gombe State. I also want to thank each and every one of us here. Before I forget, my colleagues that accompanied me here to come and also join in the celebration of our late father. If I stand here to start thanking everybody here, we will stay here till tomorrow. So I want to most sincerely thank everybody here on behalf of the family. Everybody here that found time out of the tight schedule to honor the memory of our father. It is our prayers that the Almighty Allah will take us back to our various destinations safely. And may He enable us to see many of such events and learn a lot from it also. Lastly, we wish our able guest lecturer, Professor Toyin Falola, who is a father and also a mentor and a leader. So we wish you a safe flight back to Texas. I know how long it takes you. I sat 12 hours in a plane from Sao Paulo to Abuja, so I know how it will take at my age. So I can imagine the commitment that's so. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate you. Once again, thank everybody, and God bless all of us all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Next, Malam Shafadaru, and immediately after him, Malam Ibu. I will want, please, yes, I will want to plead with my very good friend, Malam Shafadaru, so still within the range of 3 minutes. I know he has a lot, because he's my very good friend, I know that.
Barisa, the mic.
Mother Ishaku Adamu is together with one of our very own staff of the university. He was a senior special assistant to His Excellency, Ajimama Kiwaya. This is his over his
Thank you. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of the State, ably represented by the Secretary to the State Government, the guest lecturer, the Vice-chancellor of the University, and the entire family of Professor Abdullah Mahadi, distinguished invited guests, and other participants. I'm honored to be given this real opportunity once again to give a goodwill message as one of the person or example of what Professor Mahadi has done to humanity. The guest speaker and the chairman of the occasion has spoke extensively about leadership, and they are comparing a good leadership of Professor Abdullah Mahadi academic and what he does to humanity. I would like to add that the leadership he provided is not only about leadership, but inclusive leadership. The leadership that ensures that always the fathers reach the first. He is a person that when we met him, everything about our life has changed. And today, we are not talking about ourselves, but we are talking about how to touch other people's life. And this is what exactly Professor Mahadi taught us. Last year, I made a remark here, and I said I remember when I met him on the street in this university. I was with my cane, and I have nobody. And on the street, he gave me admission. Thank God, the pioneer registrar of the university is here. And he sent me to his office and said, give him admission with a note. And the registrar asked me, which course do you want? And I told him. And he jokingly asked, can't you go and study education? I said, no, I want to study political science. And he gladly did it. And not only that, after graduation, when Professor Abdullah Mahadi was recalling 2-1 and first class of the pioneer student, he has never discriminated against me. I am the one of the first people that was given employment opportunity in the university. And immediately after that, he sent me for my higher degree abroad. I cannot forget this wonderful honor he has done on me. And after I returned, he always asked me and called me, what will you do to your people, persons with disability? And together, we nurture a dream that today we are touching more than 40 lives of young children with disability. With the school, I established and I asked him, please, Prof, I want to name the school after you. And today, I'm proud to say that I'm running a school named Professor Abdullah Mahadi Academy. And just like the way he gives us scholarship in this university, today I have 40 children with disability on scholarship in that particular school. And this is part of those things that we have been always saying. And he visited the school personally more than 5 times. And he always encouraged us to do more. And he said, please, do not do anything that will put my name in the disarray. Because I give you this name because I know you are going to do it. And I'm happy that we are doing the little because we cannot do what he did to other people. When he passed away last year, if not because of the good management of the university, about 43 students with disability couldn't have registered because the person that is giving them scholarship passed away last 2 years. Many of them cannot afford to register or to have money to register. Most of them, they register very late, and the following year, the university established a brilliant initiative that tried to at least provide some kind of scholarship for these students. Today we are counting, because of his legacy, we have over 100 students with disability on campus, and the number is still growing. Permit me also to recall this, and I think one of the former Vice-chancellor would recall that. That is Professor Umar. When Professor Mahadi was about to hand over to him, it is about 1 hour or 2 hours to the handing over. He called senior management of the university, and he said, there is only one thing I'm going to ask from you. And that one thing is that please, whatever you are going to do in this university, don't forget persons with disability in everything you are going to do. And I'm happy to say that the management continue to improve upon the legacy. And today, persons with disability in Gombe State, we are not making Gombe State proud, but we are also touching lives at the national and international level. Thank you for everything, and we thank you for this opportunity. For the family, we will continue to pray for you, and you continue to grow. And I'm happy to say that you begin also to I remember persons with disability in what you do. We thank you for everything you do, and we will continue to do it together with you. We'll continue to stand with you, and we'll continue to stay with the legacy of Prof. Abdullah Mahadi in everything we are going to do. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We didn't hear that already. I'm going to invite you come up for our registration. Lastly, after Madam Usman, thank you very much for your patience. With a round of applause for the
You're welcome, sir. The chairman of this occasion, His Excellency the Governor of Gombe State, ably represented by the Secretary to the State Government, the Acting Vice-chancellor, permit me to stand on existing protocol. I wish to, with your permission, go down memory lane. When Professor Mahadi was appointed as the Vice-chancellor in 2004, and he reported for duty in Gombe. I happen to be the secretary to the implementation committee for this university. And one thing that stood out was that this place was at that time a construction site. And we had only a 3-bedroom flat by the gate there, which was a little bit habitable. Now, for those of us who know Ahmadu Bello University and know the Senate building and know the kind of facilities there, the humility level displayed by late Professor Mahadi was unparalleled. He agreed to stay in that 3-bedroom house. We made it our office without air conditioning, with a ceiling fan that was making a lot of noise. And he walked there. He was sweating, but he was using his handkerchief to clear the sweat. And he had the humility. That level of humility is unparalleled, I must say. And again, at another occasion, when the former president Olusegun Obasanjo visited Gombe State University, he asked him, said, coming from ABU, what are you doing here? When that the levels were so different. What he told him was that ABU was already made, but he has the opportunity now to make Gombe State University. And Alhamdulillah, he has made Gombe State University what it is today. And so I join others to pray to the Almighty Allah to forgive his mistakes, grant him Jannatul Firdaus, and to bless the people he left behind, those of us, his family, students and staff of Gombe State University, and the people of Gombe State, to which he had an exceptional commitment. We thank God for his life, and we thank God that he was here. Now, I want to also pray that this effort that has been established would be sustained over the years and even improved upon. Like the guest lecturer mentioned, so many issues that he had issues to discuss with them. We will give our own widow's mite support in whatever manner we are required to do that. I thank you very much, and I wish all of us the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. A round of applause for you, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Gombe State, Alhaji Muhammad Yahya, ably and competently represented by the SSG, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar Njudi, the chairman of this occasion, my Vice-chancellor, the guest speaker. Permit me to copy and paste the elaborate protocol already established by the university orator and the public relations officer. I am here to make 3 tributes to the living and to the dead. I want to start my tribute to Professor Toyin Falola. It's important I should start with him because most often we reserve the world will be too small for him to celebrate it. So for today, I want to start by appreciating in a special way Professor Toyin Falola. When I approached him about 2 years back to come to Gombe to deliver a lecture, it was such a very difficult thing. And I remember when I posted the information to the family of Professor Mahadi, they could not believe it. That Falola is still coming physically. I said yes. In fact, at that time, we made sure that his flight tickets were intact. And I told them his flight tickets were already booked. Yes. But I have to tell you, one of the reasons why we had to do that, I had the privilege of working very closely with Professor Mahadi from my undergraduate days. I think until the last hour of his death, we had moments to discuss very confidential issues. One of the reasons why we made sure that Falola came to deliver the second memorial lecture is because Professor Mahadi had wished to live in Gombe for 20 years. He had wished to live in Gombe when he was seriously ill. As rightly mentioned by the general, they wanted to evacuate him from Gombe, but he resisted. And I asked him why. He said, Malayahu, I want to live in Gombe for 20 years. After that 20 years, I will now transfer to Zaria, and then I am living with you around. You will continue with my foundation and other things. Unfortunately, Professor Mahadi couldn't live those 20 years. He lived 18 years, and then he passed on a glorious Friday, which we are very proud of. For a Muslim to pass away on Friday, we all know that good things are being expected for him in respect to the mix. So many things have been said about his intervention in humanitarian ways, in education, so many. I don't think I need to add or reduce. However, I want to say that because he could not live that 20 years, of living 20 years in Gombe is to bring an international scholar of the repute of Professor Toyin Falola to come and deliver the second memorial lecture to mark exactly the 20 years he had wished to live. So Professor Falola, I am telling you for the first time the secret why you have to come at the second anniversary memorial lecture. This is the reason. The second tribute I want to pay is tied to the commitment of Professor Mahadi and the people he has also inspired. So many things said about his legacy, about his projects, were achieved because he also get good counseling and support from quite a number of people. At the university level, for example, I think we should not forget the commitment, sacrifice, the inspiration he has given to his subordinates. Locally, some of the subordinates are here. The pioneer registrar has just spoken so eloquently about the life of Mahadi, and I want to also invite you to join me to thank him for that cooperation. The same way with Professor Umar and quite a number of so many other people that believe in the philosophy and principles of Mahadi. Incidentally, the acting Vice-chancellor is one of them. I can remember some of the meetings we are having with Prof. Mahadi, most often when crucial issues came up. And it really pleases my mind personally. I'm sure also the minds of so many that today is at the saddle. This was somebody that started as a GA and within the shortest time possible, he has now attained the position of acting Vice-chancellor. So I want to believe you are here to actualize those philosophies. We cannot take anything less than the Mahdi standard. And this, I must say, in terms of two principles which I have known him for, the principle of reward and punishment. Mahdi was such a person that if you do some excellent thing, he will reward you in a way you will never imagine. But also, if in the other hand, you made a mistake, he punished in a severe way to teach people, the others, a lesson. And on this note, I want to say that I must also pay tribute to some of the people that have stood with him so far in the course of the struggle to bring Gombe State University to the glory it is today. One of them, incidentally, is Professor Ibrahim Waziri Abubakar, who today is not in our midst. I have to tinker a bit and tell you the story. When I approached Professor Waziri about a year ago that Falola was coming, he was overjoyed and had also wished to see the day Falola would come here and deliver Professor Mahadi Memorial Lecture. Unfortunately, he is not alive. We also pray for the repose of his soul in Jannatul Firdaus. Lastly, I must also pay tribute to quite a number of other highly committed and dedicated staff of this university. Professor Yerima Tadi. Few people would know the commitment of Yerima Tadi to this university, and I think in the moment of glory and celebration like the one we are having, we ought to mention these people that stood by Professor Mahadi. I must also mention quite a number of other people. Jaktan, our good friend Salah Umar is not here, quite a number of them. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, sir, I am proudly and profoundly grateful for the opportunity to speak before this August gathering. And I want to assure you that in our lifetime, anything Mahdi, we will do it to our best until the last drop of our blood. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Air Commodore A.A. Togo will recognize the prisoners. Come as well. Distinguished ladies, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Indeed, the Professor Mahadi can be rewarding and polished. And like Hamad, we had a Falola lecture in this hall, and I was the master of ceremony. The former Vice-chancellor Nigerian University, he was the first lecturer. He described Professor Mahadi as the Vice-chancellor of numerous universities. And I came and I repeated the same word, and he called me come. Young man, 3 is not a number you can describe as something else. Just say I was the Vice-chancellor of 3 universities. You people who are MCs can abuse adjectives. And let me warn you, be careful with your words. And I actually wept because you could see under his face. And we went to commission some shops there. And he was to cut the step. I said, this is one of the identity. This is a comedy. What is the identity of fiction? Surprisingly, he called me to his office and handed the ground and we prayed. Ladies and gentlemen, on the legacy of the person we are celebrating today, even after our life. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor, it's time for me to invite you for your remarks. Every represented and the Secretary to the State Government Prof. Sani Ahmed Yauta, my Vice-chancellor, the very representative.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. The master of ceremony, who was both punished and rewarded. The chairman of this occasion, Professor Moroye Pati, the Vice-chancellor Gombe, Kashere, Federal University Kashere, the acting Vice-chancellor, Professor Sani Ahmed Yauta, our guest speaker, I would rather upgrade it to our special guest speaker, Professor Toyin Falola, an elder and erudite professor who have made a difference. Council members of the Gombe State Governing Council,
management and staff of Gombe State University, members of the State Executive Council here present with me, head of service, Gombe State University, Gombe State Government, heads of sister institutions who are here with us to witness this memorable occasion. Our distinguished and great students of Gombe State University. I recall I was taught by Professor Toyin that without the students, there will be no university. The case of students and teachers is a case of the hen and the chicken. And the eggs. I don't know which one comes first, but sometimes there are instances you say it is the teacher that comes first before the students. Others will say if the students are not there, the teachers won't be there. So whichever, it's a continuous discussion. Our distinguished members of the press and media, all other distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good afternoon to all of us. Let me start my representation of His Excellency by asking some few rhetorical questions. But of course, it will lead to talking about who Professor Abdullah Mahadi was and is. The first question is, why is the typical Nigerian professor the most misunderstood in Nigeria? The second question is the Nigerian professor providing the needed leadership values the society requires? Or is he only ending it inside the confines of the university? Was Professor Mahadi the most misunderstood Nigerian professor? Was he the most misunderstood astute leader? Was he the most misunderstood scholar and researcher? Was he the most misunderstood core academic? Was he the most misunderstood social critic? Was he the most misunderstood complete gentleman? Was he the most misunderstood humane family member? Was he the most misunderstood unwavering disciplinarian? Was he the most misunderstood climate change advocate? So when I ask these questions, I go back to leadership values. If we have professors like Mahadi, why is Nigeria where we are today? That sends the question back to the community. It is probably because there is a misunderstanding and misconception about what operates within the confines of the universities. Let me assure you, General Isa Mahadi and our friends and well-wishers, that Professor Mahadi is still alive. With all the offsprings, the plants and plantations, the graduates and leaders he has made in institutions and other places. You can't tell me that this man is no longer with us. Professor Toyin, Falola, the special guest speaker today, we appreciate your love. We appreciate your commitment to come and share with us your own insight and understanding of what Mahadi stood for. Mahadi stood for good governance. Mahadi stood for actual, practical, and what I will call maybe functional leadership values. Because of this, I am one of those that benefited from these values of Professor Mahadi. When I was Vice-chancellor University of Maiduguri during the 2014-2019 period, that was about the peak of the Boko Haram insurgency in Maiduguri. Professor Mahadi decided to visit me. I can't remember the year now, but he went. He went purposely to say, I have come to encourage you. I've come to consolidate you. I've come to tell you that you are not alone. And look at this man. He is not a colleague by age. He is, if General is here, of course, maybe my difference with General may be small. So Mahdi would have gone for my father as well. For him to go all the way to Maiduguri, only to strengthen me, remains indelible in my memory. The lecture today immortalizes him. Your father, General Isa, once shared with his perspective of life and death with me. He said, Prof, my desire and wishes is to die with a smile on my face. You will agree with me that Professor Mahadi did not just die with a smile on his face, but he died laughing. Professor Falola, who came all the way from the US to share his perspective with us, couldn't have come here for somebody who died with only a smile. He came here to share with us a perspective of somebody who lived and lived very well. Again, I share with you a small joke but very serious. We sent him an invitation for convocation at the University of Maiduguri in 2016. He wrote the reply to the invitation. But in the reply, what he told me quietly but sarcastically was that he is not Professor Mahadi. He is Professor Abdullah Mahadi. He said I should correct it because there is someone with a name in his hometown, but that man there is Senator Mahdi. They are two different people. So I should correct it if it is his own invitation. And that all he knows is that that man there is only a senator, is not a professor. So professor, you can't buy professor from the market. We can give you our honorary doctor here, but we have not started giving honorary professor. Our only honorary professor is Professor Emeritus. That one you have finished, you have completed your service. We don't want you to go away. If Professor Falola were to be in Nigeria, wouldn't have allowed him go. The institution he worked for and brought the white and now turning brown beard should be the one to bear him that one, to recognize him by Professor Emeritus. So when somebody was busy advertising or celebrating in the newspaper that somebody was appointed Professor Emeritus, I quickly corrected. I said, look, Professor Emeritus is not by appointment, it is earned. And it is by somebody who has not left the university service for anywhere through the period of his stay in the university up to the age of 70 years. If he is leaving, we say, Oga, please don't go because we want you to be around. Even presence will matter to us. That is how we give them emeritus. So if Professor Falola is here, I will recommend to Gombe State University that we give him Professor Emeritus, even if he is not here with us. That is my recommendation, and on the recommendation of the visitor. You know, the university system is such that you don't impose, you can only recommend. They will look at it at various units, and if they find it reasonable, they accept it. If they don't, they are not under obligation to do it. That's why I am only recommending. On behalf of His Excellency Muhammadu Yinueha, who would have loved to be here to share very important perspective with you about Professor Mahadi, he appreciates the university, Gombe State University, and the organizers for maintaining this memorial lecture, and that you look forward to working closely with the university as the visitor to make sure the next one is bigger, bringing in perspective. If you had told us what you are going to do, this place would have been flooded by all the governors. If it is not in Nigeria, the governors in northern Nigeria. Because leadership, like I said earlier now, it is misunderstood. What we have inside the classroom here does not go outside the gate. They need to come here. The political class, those who are in charge now, need to be here to hear what we have to say about what leadership is all about. We seem to be we misunderstand them. Thank God I have come to join them. That's where I got to know them. They are a simple group of people who are yearning to know what is new. But we are afraid or either so reserved to share with them. So the university should be able to do that one. Of course, next one should be able to invite not only the governors, members of the National Assembly should have been seated here. You see here, it is only us and our students that are here. Very little will go out. The information we only circulated within, and that one does not go so much places. Of course, Mahadi is a type that was so reserved to himself. Anything that goes his way wrongly, he does not take. Of course, many of you may not understand or may not know. His Excellency's inspiration to start tree planting in Gombe State was driven by what Mahadi was doing. He decided on the flagging of the 3G project. The 3G was to say, Gombe goes green. The idea was to plant at least 1 million trees every year. Since 2019, when we came into government. Today, we are in the fifth year, or we have finished the 5th year. So we have planted over 5 million trees across the state. I am a Muslim. One of the virtues, one of the issues encouraged that people should do, you should build prayer places, plant trees, because all the bounties that come from this one also meet you in your grave. Mahadi's trees have no numbers. In the case of the state government, we only earmark 1 million each year. Only God knows how many millions Mahadi was able to plant. How many people living with disability was Mahadi able to touch their lives? How many prayer houses Mahadi was able to build? How many, all these things, of course, the general was able to do here, learning from his virtues, giving so that nobody sees he is giving, only his creator. These are uncountable virtues of Mahadi, and only Allah can reward him bountifully in his best ways. We wish Mahadi a blessed memory, and may Allah accept him in Al-Jannatul Firdaus. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Ably represented Madam Adati Kaltungo, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar Toyin, Secretary to the Gombe State Government. Thank you very much once more. while thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, we are tidying up this event, and I want to invite again the chairman of this wonderful occasion to come to the chairman's closing remarks. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you. The special guest, esteemed personalities, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We have had the lecture on the celebration of the life and times of Professor Abdullah Mahadi. We thank Professor Falola for his insightful lecture. And from what we have listened, Professor Falola is gifted the art of internationalizing what is local and localizing what is international. We have heard how he has been able to combine theory, perspectives, as well as different points of views and capture the Nigerian scenario. Life is fluid. All of us here are gathered to celebrate Abdullah Mahadi. He built the foundation of this university. But today, the trees do not know that, the buildings do not know Abdullah Mahadi is not alive. And they are still standing. But the individuals that he built, the life that he touched, the good deeds of leadership is not just about putting up structures, but about also being able to govern people without being mindful of what they care for, or what they value, and what will keep them safe, psychologically safe, physically safe, economically safe, socially safe, and all the safeties. Then on the day you go, they'll simply thank God that you are no longer alive. And they forget you and forget about your deeds. The structures can remain, the structures cannot pray for you, the structures cannot remember you, the structures will only be there for history, to record that you were once around, but not remembered. Therefore, for us, who are leaders at different levels in society, we need to understand that responsibility. Leadership goes with sensitivity. Leadership goes with empathy. Or leadership is built on credibility. Credibility is a function of 4 elements as elaborately explained by our distinguished professor. Truthfulness and dynamism. You lack them, your leadership will be injured. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me not repeat all that have been said, but our SSG said that if Professor Falola were to be in, so we thank you, and I hope that whoever may be the leader in Nigeria or wherever you are, we need to first of all address the issue of structure in the makeup of the country. The diversities that we have are real. Nobody can change them. But we need leaders who are managers, not leaders who are damagers. If you have a manager, how difficult the structure may be, no matter how deep-rooted or systemic the challenges may sound, a fine leader, a transformative leader, an innovative leader, a creative leader, and are always mindful of what they make from the system. Not leaders who are always emphasizing the value of materialism for the young to learn, but leaders who believe that their people have obligations on them. People are not slaves. They are human beings created by God, and God loves his creations. Therefore, being a leader is just highly temporal in life. You are here today, gone tomorrow. Just like life itself, which is transitional and temporal. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all of you, let me most profoundly, quite sincerely, and very deeply express our appreciation to our distinguished professor, Toyin Falola, who is a global citizen, being a Nigerian flagship on global landscape scholarship. Wherever he goes, his identity is that of a Nigerian. He is telling the world that there are good people in Nigeria. He is telling the world that Nigeria has wonderful scholars. He is telling Nigeria that we can also influence brains, not only influence pockets. We are blessed that we have him. May the good Lord continue to promote, protect, and project you in your endeavor to promote scholarship. For Professor Mahadi, we shall continue to pray. May Allah give him blessings. May Allah give him eternal. Encourage you to do all that will protect and project his name and will also reward him wherever he may be over on the other side. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we cherish your presence here. We thank you for your kind attention, and we thank the Gombe State University, the management, and of course the Gombe State government being
the Gombe State University, Governing Council, Senate, Abdullah Mahadi Annual Memorial Lecture with the theme Leadership Values for Nigeria's Transformation. There is no any other better time than now for this. We want to give special thanks to these and we want to thank you, sir, for that. We want to carry on with the good legacies of their father, the gesture that has just been demonstrated by the general and his people. We would like to assure everybody here that we to carry all the good deeds he did when he was alive. And we pray for him eternal rest and to be aboard of the Jannatul Firdaus. Finally, on behalf of the Vice-chancellor,
please allow members of the agitators to leave, accompanied by persons who are able to differently, and the general public will follow. Please, we beg of you. May we rise in confusion for the national anthem of Nigeria.